Can you tell me your name?
My name is Eva Kuper.
Where were you born?
I was born in Warsaw, Poland.
Can you tell me a little bit about your family?
My parents were born in a small town called Sandomierz, which was about 200 kilometers south of Warsaw. My father wanted to study post-high school, and it was almost impossible for Jews to study in Poland, to be admitted to university. He was sent to Liège, Belgium, where he studied chemical engineering. He came back after graduation, which was in 1936, and he and my mother married. They decided to have a child, and I was born in February 1940. Very soon after Hitler invaded Poland, he began to gather the Jews in ghettos. During the course of the war, in excess of 400,000 people were massed in there.
When you were in the Warsaw Ghetto, how many people lived in the apartment with you?
It wasn't an apartment, it was a room, and we were 5 people in that room. And we were lucky. There were many, many people who were more crowded than that. By September, when my mother and I and everybody else in our part of the ghetto were rounded up, it was quite well known that nobody was coming back. This was death. And we were taken to Umschlagplatz. My father left work and ran to our room, and he saw that not only was our room empty, but so was the rest of that area. And he ran to Umschlagplatz because it was well known what happened to people when they were evacuated. He tried to get in there with us because he told me many years later that whatever was happening to my mother and me, wherever we were being taken for whatever reason, he wanted to be with us. And they didn't let him. They didn't want men at that point. They only wanted women, and they threatened him at gunpoint. But before he ran to Umschlagplatz, he phoned Regina, my mother's cousin, who worked actually as a guard in the Warsaw prison. He called her at the prison, and she left her post and she ran to Umschlagplatz. And she got there just at the right moment. Had she gotten there a minute earlier, a minute later, she would not have seen us. But gathered there were all these women and said, oh, a miracle that she saw us. And she saw my mother carrying me being pushed into one of the trains. She ran to that cattle car and she started to scream at the top of her lungs that I was her child, I was her baby, and that my mother was only babysitting for me. And I don't know why, but my mother was allowed, maybe because Regina was wearing a uniform, a miracle. And I'm not a big believer in miracles, but I do believe that that was a miracle. My mother was permitted to throw me from the train to Regina's arms. The roundups continued, and one day he and I were caught out in the street when a call went out to gather people. My father went down the basement steps of a building. As he got further down, he saw there were already horrified people down there hiding, and the basement was partly flooded, and they didn't want him to come with them because they were worried about a young child who would cry. He was holding me, and he assured them that he would not allow me to cry. He would suffocate me himself. And I don't know if you can imagine that level of desperation. He did mean it. He always carried 2 pills of cyanide in his pocket throughout the war, and that he was fully prepared to give me one and to take the other himself. He was that determined that the Nazis would not capture us alive.
What happened to Regina, your aunt, during the war?
She unfortunately followed my mother to Treblinka not long after, when she had outlived her usefulness to the Nazis.
So how did you and your father manage to get out of the ghetto?
We succeeded in going into the sewer, and we were not seen. We were not denounced. And my father carried me above his waist because the sewer was flooded with human waste. And we emerged on the other side, and the man who was waiting for us there took us to the home of friends of my father's. His name was Dr. Landy, and begged him to please try to find a place where I might be safer. But when the Nazis came, the first thing that they hid was me in a hole. So when I was in this hole, I was told that I had to be absolutely silent. No moving, no sneezing, no coughing, no nothing. I had to be absolutely still. So the Nazis didn't stay very long because the nuns didn't have very much. And so as soon as they left, I was allowed to come out and to be free with the other kids again.
Later on, your aunt came to find you. You said that you didn't really remember your family from before. So when you saw your aunt, were you scared to leave the nuns, and did you want to go with her?
I don't remember, but I'm sure I didn't want to go with her because everything that was familiar to me was with the nuns. So, but I went because I was told that I had to go.
Did the nuns willingly give you up, or did you have to convince them to let you go?
I believe that they gave me up because they had never meant to keep me.